Today I want to talk to you about my first group project that I did in my coding bootcamp and how that kind of ignited my passion for coding. My name is David. I'm a freelance web developer. Today I'm filming here from Seoul, Korea, as I'm doing some traveling throughout Asia. Today we went to another touristy spot, walked around for a bit, and now just taking it easy in the evening time. And I wanted to talk to you today about this project because I know that a lot of people struggle with coding, and you might hear advice when you're trying to learn, oh, just do projects, just create your own project, and you should be set. Like that's some easy thing. Like, how do you even come up with a project? What do you even do in the project? So I want to talk to you about my experience with my first project that I did. It was in a group, but we did it without like following a tutorial to figure it out, because that's how you learn at first, by doing preset tutorials, preset assignments with like a designated solution. And doing a project, you're kind of on your own. It's like a free-for-all of what's possible. So just for some context, I did this coding bootcamp in 2020. It was a full-time one and 3 months long. So at the end of the first month, we were given a project to do, one of 3 group projects, and we just learned like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript at this point. And the project was just focused on the front end, just had simple, vague requirements of you need to use 2 external APIs and use a design CSS library to do. And I got partnered off with 2 other random people from my bootcamp to do this project. And they just kind of told us the project, gave us our partners, and just kind of like, okay, go figure it out. And I wish there would have been more structure to it, of like, how do you even come up with a topic? How do you go about, what's the system you should coordinate with your partners and all? I wish they would have told us like, we should be reviewing each other's code. When we do a code review, we should be planning it out and then delegating it effectively. We should map out the design of our project. We should map out the APIs we use. But we kind of just did it with whatever we did, just to do it to get it working, rather than focus on the process to getting there. So that was like one critique I had. But so we were just off to figure this out, doing this project on our own. And like one of the hardest parts was just figuring out what to create this project about. And we'll just have, I remember us having a meeting and we just like, what do you want to do a project about? I don't know. What do you want to do a project about? And at the end of the meeting, we didn't decide on anything. And then afterwards, it kind of, we just talked about interest for a bit, what's going on. And then it hit me that one of the things was to do about politics. And this is back in 2020 during the election cycle time. So the politics was a hot topic. And then one of the things that I struggled with politics of was knowing, and it's also during COVID too, was knowing who our representatives are, what was going on with the politics. So I brought this idea up to the team, and it was kind of vague, but we kind of talked to do it. It kind of clicked with the other members, and then one of the team members pointed out in a clever way that we only communicate to a representative. We only voice our opinions, usually through voting, whenever whenever it's election time. It doesn't have to be that way. We can have an ongoing conversation with our representative and just express, because the bills get passed all the time, and the people should be able to express their views on each one, saying that they're in favor, saying that we're not in favor of the bills, and that gets let us decide on that. We should use one of our APIs is to be able to get the bills, get like a government API to see who's a representative based on location, and then also what are the laws being passed, what are the bills being passed as well. So that was one API we used, and then the second API for communicating our thoughts to people was to use a Twitter API, so we can tweet about the bills being passed and tweet it to who, to our corresponding representative, so the people can express how they feel. So we got excited about this idea, and then I worked on adding the Twitter to it, and it was a big learning opportunity for me. I never developed anything with Twitter before, and I had to use the docs and use the other. It kind of connected with the other ProPublica government API, was called ProPublica, and then I ran things to like curl command, and then I realized that API calls, there's different ways to do it, and curl is one way rather than do it in code. So I remember looking at a curl command first on the documentation, just thinking, what the heck is this? But then I realized it through, and ultimately worked together. It was messy, it was unorganized, but we got it done, and then we presented it to the class, and people liked it and were inspired by the app, and they thought it was creative. So that experience really made me realize that there's a big gap in when you go about creating projects that's not taught about in boot camps, that there's like a systematic way you develop apps. And two is that it's fun. It inspired my creativity, thinking about a problem, thinking about how I can piece together different APIs to come up with a solution, like how I thought together to use the ProPublica and then the Twitter API to communicate what's going on. And that's like the fun of coding, is that you get to solve problems, connect different APIs to different technology to find an elegant solution. And that's why I want to talk to you about today, is that if you have a project, think about a problem, think about how you can connect different APIs to come up with a solution about it, and be systematic about your approach. And that being systematic about your approach to developing an app is like another video in itself, and a pretty technical interview too. Technical video, I mean. So that's all I wanted to share with you today, with my experience creating my first app in my coding bootcamp, and how that kind of inspired my creativity in coding. Thank you so much for watching. If you need help developing an app, I'm a freelance web developer, or if you need help learning how to code, I also coach as well. Thank you so much.